All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The NFL season quickly got away from the New York football Giants as they lost 8 of their first 10 games. The combination of injuries and the Giants simply not playing well had them staring at a top 5 pick in next April's NFL draft with plenty of focus on New York possibly taking a quarterback in round number 1. But the Giants have managed to pick themselves up off the canvas in order to win their last 3 games as they're looking to salvage what has been a disappointing season. And for New York, their spark has come from an undrafted rookie in free agent quarterback Tommy DeVito. Now, make no mistake about it, there is not that much stock put into an undrafted rookie. And you think about Tommy DeVito's story, and it's an interesting one, and the Giants as a whole, because obviously they began this season with Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback. And then, of course, we saw the ACL injury abruptly end his campaign. And even before that injury, Jones had been in and out of the lineup with injuries. Now, Jones's injury paved the way for veteran quarterback Tyrod Taylor, who was able to lead New York to their second victory of the season, which was a win over Washington. But the injury bug has been an issue throughout Tyrod Taylor's career as well. And we saw him go down in that loss to the Jets. And on that rainy Sunday afternoon at the Meadowlands in October, Giants head coach Brian Daboll had no choice but to turn to DeVito against the Jets. Now, Daboll only let DeVito attempt 7 passes during that contest, and you heard the fans booing because they wanted to him to throw and they wanted to see what the kid could do in the rain. But that was not the case. The Giants, of course, fell uh, to the Jets 13-10 in a game that I don't think the NFL Films is going to be highlighting anytime soon as a classic. Nonetheless, after the week after that, we saw DeVito, uh, have his first official start um, against the Dallas Cowboys, following him coming in, excuse me, the week after that against the Raiders to sub for an injured Daniel Jones. He got his first start against the Dallas Cowboys. It wasn't pretty as the Giants lost 49-17, but that was to be expected, being where the Giants have been and the number that the Cowboys have done on them in recent years. But, in the 3 games since then, and I know that we're not talking about the Giants beating Super Bowl caliber teams, don't get me wrong, but they've gotten 3 wins in a row. They were able to beat the Washington Commanders, New England Patriots, and then after their bye week, which is something that the Giants historically have not done well, which is win, they were able to get the win last night against the Green Bay Packers. And ever since Tommy DeVito has been the Giants starting quarterback, obviously, the Giants have gotten more production out of the quarterback position, but then also this team as a whole has been playing better. And to talk to you about the struggles of this Giants offense, especially from the quarterback position, Daniel Jones only threw 2 touchdowns this season in 6 games. Already, Tommy DeVito has 8 touchdown passes. No Giant quarterback, whether it's Tyrod Taylor, Daniel Jones, or Tommy DeVito, have even reached 1,000 yards passing this season. Now, if DeVito starts this week against the New Orleans Saints, more than likely he will break the 4-digit category as he'll become the first 1,000 yard passer for the Giants this season. New York's passing offense has been abysmal, 12 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. And of course, like I just said, Tommy DeVito has 8 of those touchdown passes. But nonetheless, he hasn't thrown an interception in the last 3 games. So clearly, he is doing a good job of taking care of the football. And of course, when you win in the New York City area, okay, the fans are going to gravitate to you. The media is going to gravitate to you, especially since you're a hometown guy. I mean, This guy, Tommy DeVito, grew up a stone's throw away from the Meadowlands. It's a feel good story of a kid that went and played at the legendary Don Bosco Prep, started off collegiately at Syracuse before finishing up at Illinois, and now he's come back to play for his hometown team. Still lives at home with his parents, talked about how his mom cooks food for him. I mean, come on, it's a feel good story for everybody in that area, and he's quickly becoming a folk hero there. But and I'm not trying to sit up here and sound like a Debbie Downer, but DeVito might not be the long term answer for the Giants at quarterback. Maybe he could be. We don't know. But to me, this offense as a whole looks a lot better with him at quarterback than it did with Daniel Jones. And for various reasons, just like Tyrod Taylor, I think that Tommy DeVito gets the football out quicker than Daniel Jones. And DeVito is also able to process the information quicker. I look at Daniel Jones play, and for me, when I see him play quarterback, when he drops back, if his first option's not there, it's kind of like he's almost like a deer in headlights. Tommy DeVito is able to come off of that, and if he doesn't see it, he's taking off or he's making another decision. We saw him get more than 70 yards on the ground last night in the win over the Packers. Neither Daniel Jones or Tommy DeVito are the most accurate quarterbacks, but honestly, and I'm not trying to sound like a Daniel Jones hater, but I still feel more comfortable watching DeVito play quarterback for the Giants as opposed to Daniel Jones. I look at Tommy DeVito and I'm looking at him play, and he just appears to be one of the guys. I think that this whole team has rallied around him. I didn't see that from Daniel Jones, and I'm not saying that this team didn't like Daniel Jones, but there's just something about this kid in comparison to Daniel Jones, and you need that from your quarterback position. He has this. He has the confidence. He has that swagger. He has that moxie that he's going to hang around in the NFL for some time. Might be a backup. That's all good. But nonetheless, I think he's somebody that a team can rely on, whether it's at a starter as or as a backup. We have to wait and see. But I'll tell you like this. The Giants, at the very least, I think have found themselves a solid backup going forward. And this offseason, and I've talked about it before, this offseason is going to be very interesting to see what the Giants do at the quarterback position. Now, Daniel Jones did sign that 4-year extension this past offseason. The Giants have an out on his contract after next season. And I'll tell you like this, even though Daniel Jones has a hefty price tag, he should not be comfortable going into next season as a Giant starting quarterback because number one, I really do think that Tommy DeVito is going to push him for reps. And I tell you right now, the Giants are going to have a lot of questions from the media and the fans alike heading into next season as far as the quarterback situation goes. Also, let's not forget, yes, the Giants are dropping a little bit um, in the draft order, if you will. They're still at number 8 because all of these teams, for the most part, that were 4-8 heading into this past weekend, all won. The Jets won, the Tennessee Titans won, and then of course we saw the Chargers and Raiders lose, and the Bears won as well. So now you got the Bears at 5 with a record of 5-8, the Raiders at 6 with a record of 5-8, the Jets at 7th with a record of 5-8, the Giants 8 at with a record of 5-8, and then the Tennessee Titans at 9 with a record of 5-8, and then you have the Chargers at 5-8, and they're picking would pick number 10 if the season ended today. Nonetheless, there's still a possibility, I think, that the New York Giants take a quarterback in round number 1. They're probably not going to get the opportunity to select a Caleb Williams or a Drake May because both of those guys are probably going to be gone because with the way that the Giants are winning right now, they are not picking in the top 5. And you got New England right there at number 2. They're taking a quarterback. I doubt Arizona takes one. Chicago is very interesting with that pick. They could trade out of it, which would open up another team possibly to take a quarterback. Washington at number 4 right now, I definitely think selects a quarterback because I think they're going to get a new head coach, and I think we're going to get a overhaul for that organization. The Raiders could be in line to take a quarterback. They might be breaking in a new head coach. The Jets, they're probably going to roll with Aaron Rodgers, a healthy Aaron Rodgers next year. So that leaves the Giants. And more than likely, the Giants could be in that quarterback mix, a Michael Penix, a Bo Nix, a Jaden Daniels. We don't know. But nonetheless, you're going to have an interesting quarterback situation next season for this team. And I say this because I still think the Giants can go out there and draft a quarterback, pretty Daniel Jones up, if you will, from the standpoint that, you know what, if he's healthy, hopefully he can ball out, and you just trade him and walk away from that deal. And maybe there's another team that wants to take him for 2025. But I don't foresee any scenario where Daniel Jones is on the Giants roster heading into the 2025 NFL season. And I say that again because Joe Shane, Giants general manager, and Brian Dayball, the Giants' current head coach, they're not attached at the hip with Daniel Jones. And I continue to say that. They didn't draft Tommy DeVito. I totally understand it, but they did sign him. And for them to sign him as an undrafted rookie free agent, that means that they scouted him and that means that they saw something in him. And he already looks more comfortable in Brian Dayball's system than Daniel Jones has for the past year and a half. So if you're talking about Tommy DeVito right now, and if you're him, you got to ride this thing until the brakes fall off because all fairy tales must come to an end at one point. And I'm saying that from the standpoint that I just want to see how Tommy DeVito looks second time around. And I mean that from the standpoint when other teams around the NFL get more film on him and see his strengths and weaknesses, how is he going to be able to adjust to that? This young man, again, has come in and played solid and given the Giants momentum. In the three starts and the two times that he came in off the bench, so you're talking about 5 games, 3 full games, 2 partial games, he's already been sacked 28 times. So obviously, the Giants' offensive line is still an issue. He got sacked 9 times in that game against the Washington Commanders, and the Giants still found a way to win by 12 points. 6 times against the Patriots, 5 times against the Cowboys, 6 times against the Raiders, and then twice against the Jets. And for the first time last night against the Packers, he had a clean pocket. I think Dayball did a good job of putting in the run game to establish that. Also, putting DeVito in comfortable spots where if he didn't see stuff, he took off and made plays with his legs. But nonetheless, I want to see how he is able to adjust when other teams adjust to him. I think that is going to be a telling point going forward. Then on the flip side, maybe he could be this year's Brock Purdy. We don't know. Brock Purdy, of course, being Mr. Irrelevant for the San Francisco 49ers. And again, when you're the last pick in the draft, just like it is when you're an undrafted free agent, there's not a lot of stock put into you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you start, where you're drafted, or where you're signed. You're still going to have an opportunity. And credit to Tommy DeVito as far as being ready to seize the moment for the most of his opportunity. So I think the Giants are clearly going to use the rest of the season to evaluate talent because at 5-8, the playoffs are still a long shot. I know there were several games that they easily could have won. You think back to the Buffalo game earlier this season. You think back to the Jet game, and if those results had been different, we're talking about now a Giants team that's 7-6, and they're right in the mix for a postseason spot in the NFC. But just like Joe Shane talked about it when he first took over last year, this is a roster overhaul for the Giants. This is a very young team that is still trying to find their way. And the Giants are still a draft or two from Joe Shane away from being legit contenders. He's piecing it together piece by piece, but it takes time. And, you're looking at some of those youngsters that are starting to come around. This offensive line still needs help. The young wide receivers are coming into their own. Kayvon Thibodeau is showing that he can be a solid pass rusher. Dexter Lawrence is an anchor on that defensive line. The Giants are young in the secondary, and you could see guys like Deontay Banks that have talent as they have shown flashes. But nonetheless, I think all of it has come together now that they have put Tommy DeVito in the starting lineup for the last couple of games. And it's given the fan base something to be ignited about. It's given this team something to be ignited about. It's given the New York, New Jersey area, especially the New Jersey portion of the Giants fan base, something to be very proud of because Tommy DeVito is their native son. He's a New Jerseyan, born and bred. And when you're talking about a guy that grew up in a stone's throw away rather, from the Meadowlands, and now he won a high school championship on that field, and now he's come back there to lead, his local team. I think it's a feel good story. I know that the New York media is probably going to have a field day with it, and rightfully so. So just let's see how far this Tommy DeVito magic can go for the Giants. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.